Welcome back to Limb Driven TV. Today we're looking at our compound bow setup and we're going to figure out where should we spend our money and where should we be saving our money. Now, full disclosure before this video gets underway, this is the big disclaimer before I get all the hate comments, everybody gets angry, and everybody starts calling me a hypocrite, is that if you can spend the money, if you are willing to invest into the sport, you know it's something you want to do, you know it's something that you want to invest time and money into, then yes, absolutely, spend the money, get the nice sight, get the nice rest, buy a cool stabilizer, get a really nice release, thumb or trigger activated, whichever you like. If it's something you like, invest the money, get high quality equipment, get things that you're going to enjoy using. It should be fun. Archery is a fun sport. However, this one's going to be for the guys that are looking to maybe upgrade a couple of things on their bow, ones that are not so sure, like maybe, do I need a better sight? Is it worth getting something a little bit nicer? Is my rest working for me? Is it doing enough? And also for the guys that are looking to get into it and are saying, well, I'm looking at these bow prices and some of them, geez, they're getting up to $1,500 now, just bare bow. I still have to buy everything to put on it. So if I want to buy a really expensive bow, how much more am I looking at to get all these accessories? And that's what we're talking about today. So number one, we're going to talk about stabilizer. 100% this is somewhere to save. You do not need an expensive stabilizer. You just need something to get a little bit of weight, maybe a little bit out in front of the bow. You don't even need to get a big one. The target ones are obviously go way more, but I'm going to keep this more hunting related. So just get some basic stabilizer. Get some of the weight down on the bottom side of your bow here. And on mine, I have a quick disconnect, and that is something definitely save on. It's not necessary at all, but it's something that it helps it fit in my case easier. Something you could ask for Christmas. It's not too expensive, and it'd be a great Christmas idea for someone. Next thing we're going to talk about, just moving our way up the bow, when we talk about the rest. So on mine, I have a drop away arrow rest, and I would say, to be 100% honest, if you're looking to spend or to save, this is somewhere you could save. The arrow rest, yes, you want clean arrow flight. Yes, you want that arrow leaving the bow with a really straight trajectory, nothing really impeding it a whole lot. But I've shot whisker biscuits for a while, and I shot a couple different dropaways, and I can't say that the rest made me shoot better. So in hunting situations, yeah, you could get a nice rest that's a non-drop away. That would work absolutely great. That being said, going between a drop away rest and some sort of fixed rest, whether it be a whisker biscuit, something similar to that doesn't have the moving parts, I would say you could save here. This is not something that you need to invest a ton of money in. Next item on the list here is going to be the sight. Now, sights are, this is going to probably be where I get the hate, is looking at the sight. I would say save a little bit, and that's probably being pretty safe here. If you're just hunting, you don't need a really nice sight to get it done. Is it convenient for me to have a single pin that I can just move to whatever yardage I want and have just one pin in my sight picture? Yeah, that's really nice. That's why I have it. I really enjoy having that clear sight picture. However, if you have no problem with multiple pins in your sight, if you have no problem shooting something that's not dialed in to shoot 150 yards like Cam Haynes, then yeah, why not save? Shoot to practice out to 50, practice out to 60, whatever. You'll be fine. You'll be fine hunting in the woods. So with the sight, a multi-pin can be everything that you would ever need. A lot of guys won't even touch a single pin. They don't need it. They're fine with multiple pins. They're fine with knowing their gaps. They're perfectly fine with having 4 or 5 pins in their sight housing here. And that's not an issue. If you like that, 100% go for it. It's someplace that I would say you can save a decent amount. However, don't go so cheap as to the components of the sight where they're going to rust up, they're going to get locked up on you, things are going to bend, things are going to break. So get a nice enough sight that it's going to be durable, But if you're looking to watch on your budget of what you're spending, you don't need to go high end on the site. You can save a little bit there. So last thing on our bow here is going to be the quiver. Now this is something that I am going to 100% tell you to save on it. If you're someone that isn't sure, what they should really be spending their money on, what parts of the bow, save your money on the quiver. It's not something that's real important. What does it really do? It holds an arrow. You're taking your arrow, you're sticking it in, 2 pieces of rubber to grab onto it, a piece of foam for your broadhead to stick in, and that's it. It sits there. A quiver is not something you need to spend money on. So when that salesman directs you over to a $50, $60+ quiver, and you're there to spend already a lot of money and you're not willing to spend a whole lot more, save your money here. Buy a cheap quiver. Just get something that attaches to your bow, is not going to fall apart in cold weather. This one happens to have a quick disconnect, which means it just comes off your bow that much faster. Most quivers already do that. They come off your bow really easily. And for most whitetail hunters, and especially including myself, I get to my tree, I take this off. That's the first thing I do. I get in my tree, get all of my gear up there with me, and I'm pulling this right off of my bow right away. I don't hunt with it on. Some guys out west, they don't have a choice. They have to bring their quiver with them. That's where you're going to spend some money on a decent quiver. It's going to hold your arrows and not let them fall out. But for us whitetail guys, for us tree stand hunters, this is not something that's going to be making or breaking our setup. This is not something that's that important to us. So save your money on the quiver for sure. Next item is going to be the bow itself. This is an Evoke 35. This is one of PSE's flagship bows. And yeah, you're going to pay a pretty penny for a flagship bow, especially the year that it comes out. This is a place where, again, it's going to be pretty controversial, and why not start a discussion in the comments? Let's hear what you guys have to say. I'm going to say you don't need a flagship bow. You really don't. You don't need a flagship bow to go and hunt a whitetail, to go have fun sitting in a tree, to go to the range with your buddies and shoot a few arrows. You don't need a super expensive bow. Does it help? Yes. When you break it down, when you get into it, it does help. Having more efficient cams, having a more efficient bow overall definitely helps. Faster bows, yeah, you can shoot flatter trajectories, you can shoot farther, you'll have more energy downrange. Yeah, that can all be really, really helpful. However, to just hunt whitetail, you don't necessarily need the newest, the latest, the greatest bow out there. You can get away with a mid-range bow. Similar to with the sight there, you don't want to get the cheap Walmart bow, you don't want to get the pre-packaged, ready to hunt stuff. That stuff can work, but it's kind of like getting to the point where it's looking pretty cheap, and it's not reliable to me anyways. And like I said, we can discuss that in the comments. We can have a great discussion about that. So that's what I have to say about everything on the bow. But we're not done there. Okay, moving on to these fun little things. These are your releases, your release aids. Some compound shooters use just like a tab. Personally, I would not recommend that for compound, especially with how short a lot of the bows are getting. The string angle is just too sharp to try and use your fingers to shoot a compound bow. That's why we got these. You gotta be using our release aids with our compounds. Now with this, I'm gonna say this is where, similar to the bow and the sight, you can save here. You don't need to spend a whole lot, but you need to get something that's good enough. And I'll tell you why. So here we have just a regular, finger trigger activated release. Just operates with your index finger. And this is where, whenever I'm looking for a release, for me or for someone else, if they're going with a trigger activated release, they don't have to spend a whole lot, but they have the ones where you pull the trigger and that opens the jaws, and when you let the trigger go, that closes the jaws. I do not like those. I don't even have one here to show you. That's how much I don't like them. What I would recommend in a trigger release, Something that is adjustable, so when you have it set up, you can move, how far away this part is from your wrist. So on this one, it's got, 4 different adjustments there, you can see. So that can move the distance of how long this section of the release is. And that's something that's really nice to have, to personalize it to fit you, so that way you can shoot a little bit better and a little more comfortably. But the big thing also is gonna be getting a release that once you pull the trigger, it completely opens. There's no half opening with those ones that the jaws open and close. So something like this release where once you're pulling it, you get a little bit of tension and it just opens up for you. Once the release breaks, it opens all the way. That's enough clearance for the D-loop to go, to shoot the bow, for the arrow to leave it, everything nice and clean. There's no jaws opening and closing. I really don't like those. We also have these. These are thumb activator releases, and this is where the whole spend and save argument can be made, because here I have a Stan Perfex, which would be a high-end thumb activated release, and then here I have this just Chinese-made, off-brand, probably infringes a few patents, I don't know. It got it online, risked my credit card information to the world, but I have it, and I can say for a fact that this thing works. I've shot hundreds of arrows with it. It 100% works. It works just like all the others. You press it in, lock your jaws, and then it's activated by this button down here by your thumb, and it opens up. You can see, just like that other trigger release, the jaws open up for the arrow to leave cleanly. Operates just the same as this one. You press the button to lock it in, it hooks into the string up here, and this little button down here, activated by your thumb pressing it, that click releases it. Now this can let the string go. Both of these 100% work. They work. Is there a big difference between this one and this one? Yeah, big time. So to get a release that works, you don't have to spend a lot. To get a release you're gonna enjoy a whole lot more, you might have to spend a little bit more money. But for a lot of guys, they're gonna stick with their normal trigger release. You're gonna save a lot more money just buying this trigger release. Now before we move on here, I'm gonna take a pause because this is related to the shooting releases and release aids. That's gonna be your rangefinder. And this is something that not everyone's gonna even wanna buy. Some guys are gonna be 100% fine not using a rangefinder at all. And while it's definitely a convenient tool to have, to be able to check down range and see, how far away is that tree, set up your ranges when you get in your stand, so that way you can pretty much just tuck this away for the day and know I've got 20 yards to that tree, 35 over there, I've got 15 right here, I've got 40 over there. You kind of get a good idea of what your ranges are looking like after a few minutes of daylight sitting in the tree, ranging and figuring out where everything is. As far as rangefinders go, if you know that you want one and you're not sure, do I need to get that high-end one, the real precision, accurate? You don't. You can get a pretty cheap rangefinder, and it's gonna be a click and a number readout. That's it. All of them can do the same thing. You press the button, it tells you how far away it is. Some of them have additional features, and that's what a lot of guys like about the nice ones, the high-end ones. But for the basic bow hunting needs of being able to click your button, look down range, and see how far away that deer is, a low-end rangefinder is going to do it for you. So before we get to the big debate being broadheads, we're going to stop and look at arrows. This is somewhere where you need to spend a little bit of money. You need to spend some money on arrows. You need to get a set that's not going to be real cheap, but you also don't have to get the arrows that are, target grade, match grade, .001 straightness. You don't really need that. In a hunting situation, there's no way you're going to notice the .006 straightness arrow versus the .001 straightness. Hunting, you really don't see it. So when it comes to the arrows, yeah, you guys know it. We all like our grizzly sticks on this channel. That's what we use. That's what we like. It's an expensive arrow. Vast majority of hunters aren't going to be buying this. This is the guys that really want a solid setup, the top-notch setup that they can build. Yeah, guys are going to want something durable, something really strong, something high quality. For a lot of hunters that don't have the budget for that, aren't investing all that money into bow hunting, it's not that big a deal for them, then yeah, you can go with something less. I mean, these are some victory shafts, and I can say that I've broken a bunch of these. I've broken them shooting targets, missing a target, hitting a piece of wood like a log. I've broken them off. These inserts, I had to get a new set of them because they broke off in my bag target. They're not the most durable, but they're somewhat durable enough. I footed these to make them stronger. So looking at this, you can see my insert, my gigantic field point that a lot of you guys are gonna scoff at, the stock insert, and then we have the footer, and then the rest of the arrow shaft. So this is a good way to take a cheap arrow and add a whole lot of strength to it. So this is like a 3-inch footer. It's an aluminum arrow that I cut off and glued over the top of it. It fits the outside diameter of these arrows really well. And so shooting this, it's a lot stronger than shooting just with the stock insert, just the regular insert with no footer. For those guys on a budget, this is gonna be your best bet. Getting a footer on your arrows, buying something that's, you know, pretty decently strong out of the box, and then beefing it up a little bit more with something like a footer, or buying some aftermarket components like Ethics. Those are really good for adding strength to your setup. They've been proven for sure, but you can still get away with stock inserts, footing them. This will help quite a bit. Now we're gonna get to everybody's favorite topic, broadheads. The thing that does the cutting, the thing that leads our arrow on its path through an animal, the actual item of our entire setup that does the killing itself. This is gonna be somewhere that I am saying spend the money. Get something high quality. Don't settle for the Walmart. Don't settle for the old and rusty. Don't settle for the cheap, poorly made, low quality material broadheads. Anyone that knows me, that when I bow hunt, I'm gonna be going out with something high quality, leading the charge on my arrow, that's going to be doing a lot of damage, that's going to be getting me a pass through. We can debate broadheads all day, we can debate designs, we can debate quality, we can debate companies left and right, up and down. The simple fact of the matter is that when you're hunting with a bow, you need to be using a broadhead that is going to be solid construction. Doesn't have to be a one-piece construction. It can be a couple pieces. That's not huge, but just get something with a strong steel. These are stainless. I'm a fan of stainless. Something with a good strong steel, something with a solid thick blade. These are both pretty darn thick as far as broadheads go. Something with a strong ferrule, strong blade, a streamlined design. Yeah, I said I wouldn't bring design into it, but something that's efficient at cutting. You don't want something with crazy amount of blades, something with a bunch of motion that's going to eat up all of your energy. You are still using a bow. You're not using a rifle. You're not using a shotgun. You're using a bow. You want something efficient. You want something strong. And you want something that's going to stay sharp going through the animal, coming out that other side, getting that full pass through, taking that deer down fast. Broadheads are somewhere to spend your money. These are real expensive. There are cheaper options that'll do just as much on a whitetail as these ones will do for me. You don't have to spend $100 for 3. There's some great options out there that are right around $50 for 3 that you can even get that'll be reusable. I mean, both of these heads have been through a couple of animals now, and they're looking great. You can get some options out there that are not as expensive as these, but are still gonna get the job done right. Thank you guys for watching this video. This was a bit of a long one, a bit of a tough one to know where to spend your money, where to save it. I might have stepped on some toes, I might have hurt some feelings. Let me know about it in the comments. We can discuss about it. We can see, what does everybody else think, where to spend, where to save. It's a debated topic. I might not be 100% right. I might not be 100% wrong. We can talk about that. If there's videos that you guys want to see, if there's videos you guys want us to make sure you let us know. We gotta see those comments. And if you guys want to share this with your buddies, that'll do us a big help. If you want to leave a like on it, that helps us out as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.